Now let's look at some ways that you can make your charts look a little bit better, especially if you're going to add labels and add some other information to them. What I have here is a line chart that has data points on it for our Heart Attack Central sales. Okay, but there's a lot of things we can do. I've already mentioned some of them up here with the chart layouts. Here with chart styles, you can do things like change colors. Okay, if you want it to be shades of green or shades of orange or whatever, you can do that. Let's look at this layout tab here, because this gives a lot of specific information, a lot of things you can do. Let's say, for example, that you want to put something right here. I mentioned that right here between June and July was when the Surgeon General said that Heart Attack Central franchises would cause deaths because of the cholesterol. And let's say that you want to put something there to show that. Well, you can add a text box. So let's add a text box here. And we can say Surgeon General's report. And to show exactly when that happened, I'm going to add a shape, which is basically just an arrow. I'll draw an arrow right there. Okay, so now I can explain what happened then. And then, we're going to have another one down here to say that this was deaths of 1,500 customers. Okay, and we will again, we'll add an arrow there just so we can point that out. Okay, so that's one thing you can do to your charts to explain some things. Okay, so let's get rid of those. Now let's go back here and let's see some other things you can do here with the layout. Okay, for one thing, you may want to add a chart title. Okay, so let's put a title up here. You click on that, then it brings up this chart title, and we will just call this sales report. Okay, so you can add a title. Now you can have axis titles. Axis titles, okay, just a little explanation. Here's the x-axis, okay, or the horizontal axis. Here's the y-axis. You've learned this from your math, okay, for graphing. Okay, so now you can put titles with those. We have labels already here, but maybe, here it's obvious that we're talking about the months of the year, but maybe I want to put a title to show that this is in 2012. Okay, so I could put something like that down there. That's the horizontal. I could put a vertical axis, so that put something over here, and I could say that that is the monthly sales. Okay, so you can add titles on the axes like that. Now over here we have a legend. Okay, that's a legend. And you can decide what you want to do with the legend. You can turn it off, you can show it at the top like this, you could show it at the bottom. There's a lot of choices that you can do for a legend. Okay, now data labels. This is, that's going to show what amounts these points refer to. Okay, so you can, right now they're turned off, but I could display them centered on the data points, but you notice that is not real readable. Okay, I could make them to the left of the data points. That's a little bit better. I could make them above. Okay, so you can kind of play around with that if you want to show the amounts that you're talking about. Data table is going to show the actual information underneath it. Okay, you probably wouldn't do that along with data labels. Okay, you wouldn't need both of them there. Okay, so that's how you can add different labels that you can have. You can set up grid lines. Okay, on this chart it might not be as helpful, but you can add more grid lines here. This just has them like for every $200, but I could add more grid lines for other points. I could have vertical grid lines, okay, to divide the months to make it easier to see which month we're talking about. So you could add grid lines like that. You can do things with the area, okay, where you can put something behind the graph. Okay, let's see, I'm going to get rid of these, all these grid lines, just to keep it from getting cluttered up. Okay, but let's say that I want to be really creative. Okay, I can put a, I'm going to put a picture or a texture back behind it. I can put something like that. I can have something that looks this way. Notice that starts making the graph harder to read. If I use something that's pale, it works a bit better. I can even put a picture in there if I wanted to. Like we're talking about burgers. I can find pictures that deal with food. And so, here's something that has burgers. So I can add that in there as my background. Again, notice that that makes the data hard to read. But if you want to do something like that, that's how you can do it. You can fill it with gradient. That gives a nice little shaded thing there. So there's a lot of things you can do with the background of your chart. So those are some of the things that just make your chart kind of dress it up a little bit.